Have you ever gone to a place that made you go, ah, this place is weird? I love places like that. Doesn't matter to me if it's in real life or if it's in a video game, but if it's in a video game, it turns out it's way more marketable to the YouTube audience. So today, with your permission, I'm gonna take you on a little tour of some odd and unremarkable places in The Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask. Put on your helmets and strap in. Roll the footage. The first place that I want to show you, you might be able to guess it by the music you're hearing right now. You might recognize this door with a gear on it. You might recognize this decayed, mossy gear stuck in the ground, which I don't know if I've ever looked at before. But you can't play Majora's Mask without ending up here briefly at one point or another. This is the basement of the clock tower. I think most people, the extent of what they see in the clock tower is this guy's face. You run in, you talk to him, you leave. That's usually about as much time as I ever spent in here. But there are a lot of vibes down here. A lot of interesting vibes. The water has these weird, I don't know if they're like rocks or puffballs. They're really two-dimensional. You know, most of the rocks in this game are three-dimensional. You can pick them up, but these ones are not. These are just sprites. So I don't know if they're just meant to be rocks and they didn't want to put normal rocks down there or what. But they took the time to put rocks down there. This is also a great room to really recognize the increase in quality of the texture work over Ocarina of Time. Not to get too technical, you know, most of what I'm trying to do here is just soak in the vibes. But the wall textures, the ground textures, the bricks, the mossiness of this ground, all is notably higher fidelity than what we were looking at when we did this with Ocarina of Time. And there's a reason for that, a little $40 Nintendo reason for that. But you can see even on something like that far wall there, compare that to like what you see in the Forest Temple in Ocarina of Time, where these textures might have otherwise made sense, and there's a clear difference in the level of detail. And also, as somebody who does not necessarily fully drink the Kool-Aid of the 5 stages of grief read on the game, I will say it is very interesting to be in this particular room with that in mind, precisely because this room is the closest space in the game to that precipice. You know, if you suspend your disbelief far enough, you can look at this as like we're staring over into the abyss of a dying man boy. I don't know, I'll talk more about that in a different video, but it adds another layer to this beyond just this being a place that you don't spend a lot of time in, you know. They added a couple little pieces of little moss hanging off. Look at that, just a little bit of moss hanging off the ceiling. Much like those things in the pond here, not necessary. A lot of little things you're just gonna walk right by. Or at least they thought you were going to walk right by them until you clicked on this video. And now we're observing them for the world to see. Why does it look like this wheel is not actually pivoting around the center? Hold on a second. Austin, put a dot on the screen where the center of the wheel is. I'm not touching the controller. I'm not moving it. Look at that. It's not pivoting around the center of the wheel. Is that how wheels work? Am I missing something? Is that normal? I wonder if I'm the first person to ever notice that in the world. I would bet you money that I am. And therefore that makes you one of the first people on planet Earth to see that. How interesting. There's one more thing that is part of this clock tower, but it's upstairs here. Much like a lot of these parts of these videos, this might be more of a me thing, but I didn't really realize how empty this room is. You know, 99% of the time that you spend in this clock tower is between here and here, right along this space. But it's empty as hell. There's not a table in here, nothing. Just a man standing by himself. Which is interesting when you really think about it. When you really take in the feeling. Again, that might just be me, but I never put together how empty this room is. And I've also never looked up at these gears before. It's a really nice gear texture. Look at that. It's real nice. Let's move on to the next place, shall we? Somebody in the comments of the Ocarina of Time, one of these videos, talked about how Majora's Mask, I think in their context it was, oh, this is why I like Majora's Mask more, because it's a lot more thoughtfully designed, a lot more thoughtfully put together. There's not as many places that are sort of accidental like we found in Ocarina of Time. But I would almost argue that what that does is means that when you find places that aren't hand-touched, that are a little bit incidental, they stand out even more. And one of these places, you can only get to on Dawn of the Final... Well, actually, you can get to it in a different way, but I don't want to do all the work to do that. But it's easiest to get to early in the game, which I still kind of am, when you do it on the final day only. Thank you so much for your hard work, my friend. I appreciate it. I'm going to look in your mouth for a moment. Freeze frame on his mouth when he opens it. And the place I'm talking about is another large open space, much like in Hyrule Field. The Romani Ranch is the biggest, emptiest, openest space in all of Majora's Mask. And as a result of that, I have so much to say about it. Now, when we talked about Hyrule Field in the other video, we did talk about... Shut up, I know. When we talked about Hyrule Field in Ocarina of Time, and the portions of that felt a little bit odd, we focused on the edges. And the edges of this place also make me feel weird. They give me that same feeling of peering into the precipice of non-existence. At least that's the best way I can figure out how to put it. Or like this area. Oh man. Oh geez. It's a weird feeling, man. It's a really weird feeling to me. It almost feels... Oh, here's a great analogy. You know when you're coming to the end of a dream and you're starting to get the sense that it's a dream, and you haven't put it into words, it's not a lucid dream yet, but you're starting to realize you're in a dream and kind of starting to feel that there is an alternate world that you can sort of wake up to. And you don't realize it in the dream that it's like sleeping and then awake. You just know that you need to get yourself out of this state, and that you're flirting with a new plane of existence. Spaces like this give me that feeling of kind of like I'm catching whiffs of the dream coming to an end, of there being another level to reality outside of this thing. Yeah, this is a game about an elf who is a child, and he can turn into a big monkey, and he can turn into a plant boy. Now, okay, you're saying shut up and show me some cool things about Majora's Mask. Sure, let me give you a couple cool things. Things that I noted while I was doing this, and maybe I'll do a video again on sort of trees and tree walls specifically later. But note that the tree wall technology for Majora's Mask has advanced significantly. You'll note that there are 3 layers when I move. There are 3 layers to the tree walls now. Creates a lovely parallax effect. Gives them a much more authentic sense of depth, right? You've got this front layer with the grass, and then you have the first layer of trees, and then a really dense layer of trees behind it. Ocarina of Time never did anything like that, and I think it makes for some really beautiful tree walls. Does it look like a forest? Does it make it seem like you could walk right in there? Absolutely not. It still looks like a piece of cardboard with trees painted on it. But I'd never noticed that before, that you've got sort of these multi-layered little parallax tree walls, which is super cool. And then one other thing I like to note about... Jesus, look at that skybox. I'm so excited to do the skybox video. And then one other thing that I just like to make note of, if anyone knows of a better place to watch the moon crash down, then right here, please let me know. Because if I ever am in a position where I want to watch the moon come down, I'm either going to do it from in Castletown and have it hit me, or I'm going to do it from all the way out here where I actually have a good view of the sky. Because this is by far the most complete look you get at the landscape, at least that I can recall. You can even see a crappy little pixelated clock town over there. God damn, this game is so beautiful. Alright, this is going to be the last one I'm going to show you. I feel like I'm talking too long about all these ones today. I apologize. And this one is my favorite of these because it's one that you really are not going to spend very much time in unless you make a point to do so. You know where this is? This is the very first place you go in this game. As soon as that opening cutscene finishes, you end up in here chasing Skull Kid. And the urgency with which you're meant to chase Skull Kid naturally means that you are not going to spend very much time in here, which is unfortunate because it's a hell of a vibe. There's also apparently a lot of rupees you can pick up in here. Did not know that. This is a space that really feels like a creepy room, a creepy playground. I mean, you're only going to spend a moment in here, but they are not fooling anybody with that tree wall at all. The moment you take the time to look up at it, you instantly feel claustrophobic. Just so clear that it's a bunch of walls. Which is a feeling I love very much. It is interesting where they chose to put sort of two random additional trees. They got one here, and they put one all the way back over there. I don't think there's another one. I wonder if that's because those are two locations like that you might actually see. Like maybe the camera faces this way at one point, so they add this just to add a little depth, you know? And then you run this way, which means you're gonna see this. So they put that there just so it doesn't feel like a tree wall, which it is. But if you spend a long time in here, and it very rapidly goes from feeling like the moody introduction to Majora's Mask to feeling like a weird Disney World kind of a thing, like a weird warehouse that's made to look like a creepy forest. You got this moving conglomerate of tiny forest fairies, and the conglomerate of fairies actually follows Link around, which is neat and completely going a little above and beyond. So you can see that if I speed this up here. It makes me wonder if there are other places in the game that this is used, or if it was just built for this, because this to me smells like something that they built for a different purpose, that maybe a more purpose that might be noticed, and then they just threw it in here because they could. But I can't think of where else this might have come in handy. Maybe in like a cutscene or something, I'm not sure. And then the other notable thing is you've got this little piece of wood here. If you go up it, oops. If you go up it, Link will slide down nice and slow. And this is the actually the second wonderful children's slide in the game. Do you know where the other slide is in the game? This is an easy one, an easy pop quiz, but if you know the answer, if you know where the other slide is, post it now in the comments, and if you get it right, I will, I don't know, I'll give you something. Maybe. Probably won't. But just do it, and then if you get it right, I'll be like, there's also a second very cool room that is part of the game right up here. This one's cool because it has all these sweet mushrooms. But it is otherwise very similar. The last thing I want to touch on is we had a fun little mental exercise earlier where we kind of played with the allegory of this being this is Link dying. You know, he got jumped in the forest and he cracked open his head and he's dying. He's got intracranial swelling or something. You know, he's dead. He's down for the count. He's going up to a farm upstate. He's going to the little elf farm upstate. In theory, at this point, he's dead. And it's this transition from the forest where the attack happened, where he was mugged. It's this transition from here to Clocktown that is his sort of passing out moment. But this is also the first place where when you attack the leaves, they run away from you and hide. And I would say that's a pretty good indicator that something's going on with Link mentally. And I would say I'm 100% certain that was not intentional. On the part of the developers. I think they were just having fun. But it is interesting that is, there's grass in the first area that doesn't do that, and there's grass in this one that does. And it only gets freakier the further into this little hallucination you go. And then of course you go a little bit further and the game really continues. I guess maybe boom, that's Link dying. First room is Link, he's passing out, he's starting to hallucinate, falls in the pit. Look at this motherfucker is dying. He is becoming deceased. Rest in peace, Link. Anyway, that's gonna bring us to the end of this one. Now we're just playing Majora's Mask, which no one needs to see. Words cannot express how much I love that game. I've been playing through it I need to get to the end of the game so I can do skybox appreciation, you know, because there's all these skies in it, and then some of the skies you don't get to see till later. So I got to get to the end of the game, so I've just been playing through it in my free time. God dang. It's a good game, man. It's a really good game. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please leave it a like. If you really enjoyed it and you would like me to make more videos like this, please leave a comment saying, hey, I like this, keep doing more like this. That will let me know that this is the kind of content you want to see, and I'll just keep making it. I am here to serve you, of course. But if you want to serve me, you can do so by going to www.patreon.com/AnyAustin. This is a viewer-supported channel. I do not run ads on my videos. And if you support on Patreon, you do get access to some nice, wonderful, extra little things. If you're unable to support on Patreon, but you do still want to see this channel thrive and not die, it's always helpful to leave it a comment, because that will, when I see it, I'll get a little boost of endorphins or whatever it is, serotonin, and that will make me more motivated to continue making videos. And it also helps us with the algorithm. Making videos is just offering things to the algorithm in the hopes that it blesses you one day. It's a little bit like we used to do rain dances. They had the sun god, we have the YouTube algorithm. Post-spiritual techno religion. Anyway, that's all I really have to say. I don't want to talk anymore. If you have games you want me to do this with, leave them in the comment. If you have places in Majora's Mask you think I should go back to, leave them in the comments. I'll do a follow-up. But that's it for this video. There's only one more thing for me to say. In my free time, I like to make music. I use that music in all of my videos. And believe it or not, you're about to hear one of those songs. Please have a wonderful night and enjoy the song today. We'll see you next time.
You get everything you want. And I go slow, go slow, I go slow.
Bonus content. Holy hell, look at this skybox. Holy hell. This game eats Ocarina of Time's lunch when it comes to skyboxes.